Just a busy, busy day yesterday in the world of professional football with the news coming down that Tottenham Hotspur sacked Mauricio Pochettino, formerly of a 5.5 year reign at White Hart Lane. Then the Spurs subsequently appoint Jose Mourinho this morning to succeed Pochettino as manager. How's it? Bearded Gooner Show. I am he, the Bearded Gooner, flying solo today. Hopefully we're going to get some views in here soon. If not, so be it. We'll put the show up and everybody can watch the rebroadcast at a later date. Starting right off the bat, Mauricio Pochettino out at Tottenham Hotspur. And to me, that is, boy, you hate to give them credit for anything that they do, but they're thinking like a big club. And big clubs, when things aren't going their way, they make a change. And the easiest thing to change with any professional sports team struggling is your coach or your manager. And Levy pulled the trigger on letting Mauricio Pochettino go. I read an article on The Athletic last night. Don't believe it was David Ornstein. I think it was someone else. I'm not exactly sure who, but pretty damning article of Pochettino's reign, at least the end of his reign at White Hart Lane, for that matter. Players just very, very unhappy with him, his tactics, his coaching style, things of that nature. A good article if you get a chance to read it. So Poach is out, and in comes Jose Mourinho. What does that mean for Arsenal? Well, the fan base has seemed to be pretty well, I'll say pretty well divided on what they feel, on how they feel about, if they would like Jose Mourinho in at Arsenal or not. I dare say it's pretty close to being 50-50. And I think we can obviously now, there's no think, we can dispel those rumors now. He is at Tottenham with a full-on 4-year contract. So for those of you who didn't want Jose Mourinho, you can rest easy. For those of you that did, you're only going to worry now and think that, did Arsenal miss out on yet another coach? A lot of sentiment that Arsenal missed out on Jurgen Klopp, that Arsenal missed out on Pep Guardiola. So could we have missed out on Jose Mourinho? Only time will tell. Does this force the hand of Josh Kroenke, Ralston Leahy, the board, what have you? Do they now feel that they need to do something to sort of offset or keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, or the Levys? Does this prompt a move from Arsenal sooner than what perhaps they would have liked? Now, does this prompt a move across the Premier League with other coaches? Do other teams now follow suit, say, hey, look, we've got to get a different guy in here. One of them is already off the board, so we're going to move forward, sack our guy, bring in a new guy, and go from there. So, sorry guys, a little thirsty today. I think right off the bat here, the sacking of Pochettino, to me, now having read the article on The Athletic that I read last night, his sacking is not surprising after reading that article, after what at least the article claimed players have said, players were feeling, so on and so forth. So from that standpoint, not shocking at all, in my opinion. That said, I was caught rather off guard when the news first broke thinking, here's a guy that did they win a trophy? No. Did they? But were they successful otherwise? Yes. Probably the best. Perhaps consistent is the better word, but I'll say consistent 5-year span that club has had. He developed some good players, and I know we hate them. We don't want to give him any credit, but give credit where credit is due, folks. He developed some good players and got that team to a Champions League final. And I maintain that I would rather play in the Champions League final and lose than to not play in it at all. Some may disagree with me on that. That's fine. Personal preference. I'd rather be there and lose than not be there at all. And they were there. And they lost to let's not sugarcoat this either. They lost to a damn good Liverpool team. But the article did go on to say that after that loss, Poch really thought he was going to win that game. He really thought he was going to ride off into the sunset after winning the Champions League, and accomplishing something at that club that had, quite frankly, probably never even been dreamed of. And obviously that didn't happen. And the article states that he was salty, he went back to his house in Barcelona, I believe. Salt was very distant. And I guess a lot of players had just said he was not with it, coming back to preseason training, things of that nature. If you'll forgive me right now, I'm actually sort of looking this up right now, seeing if I can find that article and just tell you who, at least give you an idea as to where to go to the author of the article. Here we go. Tottenham appoint Mourinho after Pochettino sulked his way to the sack. It is Jack Pittbrook, David Ornstein, and another. It doesn't tell me exactly who the other author of that is, but that is up on The Athletic. You can go read it. It's a tremendous article, and a lot of pretty damning stuff in there for Pochettino. So the writing was on the wall. Some players were caught off guard. Others, I think they were caught off guard simply by the timing of it. But it seems to me that players were thinking that the writing was on the wall. It was coming. It was going to happen sooner rather than later. And so not necessarily a huge surprise there. Jose Mourinho then coming in, taking over. Say what you will about the guy. He's been pretty successful everywhere he's gone. He has left the clubs that when he's left a club, he has left it in a pretty dire situation. We all know what happened with Chelsea after their title season. Then he comes back and he's in the relegation zone in October and November. So they obviously get rid of him there. Takes a Manchester United team that I personally did not think was overly talented to second place, which I'll be honest with you, I was kind of surprised about, and got them to second place. A Europa League victory there, which is he won a trophy, and sorry about that, guys. A little bit of a technical issue there. Mourinho, whether we like him or not, bottom line, he's been successful pretty much everywhere he's gone, and at the very least, he's been successful in the short term. Spurs give him really a 3.5 year roughly contract that runs through 22-23. It's short term, and that's not I guess that's not too bad. That's pretty much right at his shelf life, in my opinion. He'll give you a good 2 years before things, I think, start to go off the rails for him. One sec here, guys. A little bit of a technical issue here. Sorry, I guess this is what happens on on live TV. It also doesn't help that I'm trying to fly solo here, guys. I apologize for everything. Hopefully we are in good shape now. Looks like we will be. Yep. Anyway, back to Jose Mourinho. He's been successful pretty much everywhere he's gone. He does have a shelf life, or at least in the past he's had one of about 2.5, 3 years tops. He just seems to have a very strict way of managing, a very harsh way of managing that seems to rub people the wrong way. Players eventually have fallouts with him, especially big name players. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be good theater one way or the other. It's just going to depend on your point of view. If you're a Tottenham fan, I think right now you've kind of got to be excited. This guy knows what he's doing. He's won trophies. I don't think they win a trophy this year, but I would not be surprised if he gets them into top 4, qualified for Champions League once again. So, what does it mean for Arsenal? It's another name off the board right now in terms of coaches. We as a fan base are all pretty united in the idea that we want Unai Emery gone. This is just one name now. One domino has fallen. Does the board and ownership, do they pull the trigger now on Emery a little sooner than what they had originally planned, anticipated? I think so. I think seeing especially your arch rival, when your arch rival does something like this, I think it really tends to force your hand a bit from the standpoint of, okay, we can't be seen, if nothing else, we can't be seen as weak compared to them. If the results continue to go the way they've gone for Arsenal in the last 2 months, then I think the trigger gets pulled pretty quickly. We keep hearing this 6 games. He's going to get till Christmas. Unai Emery, that is, going to get till Christmas. And that's just not, I think, with what Spurs just did now, I don't think that's the case. I think if the results continue to go the way they have, I would think Unai Emery's out by, quite frankly, by the time I get there, by the time I get to London, December 5th. He's going to get 3 games, two of which are at home, and in Southampton, and then Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League. Then we're away to Norwich. Have to beat Southampton, have to beat Frankfurt, have to win the home games. If we drop points in either home game, wow, my head is really crooked. If we drop points in either home game, I think he's done. I think he'll get Norwich, and that'll be it. And the only reason I even think he gets Norwich is simply because the board just won't pull the trigger fast enough. That's really it. So I guess we're going to go with a quick 15-minute program here today, guys. We'll catch you guys up on the rebroadcast of it. You can certainly go to my channel, youtube.com/thebeardedgooner. Link is up on Twitter. Please hit that like and subscribe button down below. And interesting times in North London. We'll see how things go. So yeah, might be a little quick plug for my buddy Ray. Might be jumping on with Arsenal Fan Circle later tonight. With him, we'll see how things go. Have a much more in-depth conversation about the goings on in North London, the bad end of North London. But good talk. Got about a good 15 minutes in here today. Good talk. Hope to catch you guys on the rebroadcast. Hit the like and subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter @TheBeardedGooner, and we'll see you out there.